Today I'm introducing a culinary artist who has been revolutionizing the food scene with his gastronomic creations. With a career spanning over 2 decades, he has carved a niche for himself in the culinary world, earning numerous accolades for his exceptional culinary skills and creativity. From humble beginnings in India, he has worked his way up to the ranks, honing his craft in some of the finest kitchens across the world. A love affair that started in his mother's kitchen in Punjab went on to make him win the Michelin Star within 10 months of his restaurant opening. He started his career as a restaurateur with Culinary, which displays an eccentric menu, and now owns 5 other restaurants. He has played a major role in bringing Indian cuisines to the global world and has brought the spotlight on unpopular Indian traditional dishes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is my honor to present to you the culinary genius, the renowned chef and a true ambassador of what India has to offer, the one and only Chef Rohit Ghai.
Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, and very humble to be here on your platform in India. Lovely to connect with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chef. And I know, Chef, you've been traveling and you agreed to do this in the middle of all of this, so it's really a pleasure.
No problem at all. That's absolutely fine. I'm just heading to my restaurant after this call.
Chef, talking about that and jumping onto the questions, could you tell us your first memories in the kitchen? The memories that triggered and inspired you to pursue this as a career.
Oh, same story all the time. Actually, I'm the youngest one in the family, and I used to spend a lot of time with my mother, with my family, especially during the summer holidays. And there was, to be honest, if you ask me, I'll be very honest, there was no such as plan to be joining hospitality industry. But I still remember whenever I get a moment or opportunity to work with my mom. So I always used to make a triangular, the very particular triangular paratha, which we normally had in India, especially for the breakfast. So I used to make it a lot. Very tiny ones, like miniatures, small ones that I could handle it myself. So that was a thing in my childhood. And after since I joined this culinary world, so I still remember when I went after the college, there was a few different stories. Every day there's a learning, there's the stories, there's the memories. So when I went uh, my for my first job actually in Oberoi in India, so I went for the trial actually. So in early days you have to do the trial test, trade test. We used to call trade test. So in that case, you have to make a couple of dishes, your best dishes, and the boss, the executive chef, will come and he will try along with general manager. So that time, the hotel, I didn't mention the name of the hotel, but it was running very low with the staffing. And my boss, executive chef, then I went to the HR department. They took me to the kitchen and they introduced me with the chef, and they said, "Okay, now today's your trial." So I asked very generously to the chef. I said, "Chef, how many dishes you want me to do it?" So I'm also Punjabi, so he was Punjabi too, and he asked me straight away. He said, "You know what? We got around 150 people booked for lunch. So this is our format. So can you cook it for all of them?" So I was like, for first 2 minutes, I was like completely freeze. And I said, "What is talking about 150 cover? 150 people just for the trade test?" And without wasting my time, I just start, cooking, and it ended up by 12:30. I think it was on time. And when I asked him after the lunch service, I went to his office. I asked, I said, "So, Chef, what's your decision? What you want to?" He said, 150, you feed 150 people on your trade test, and everyone is happy. So who am I to stop you? So that's how it happened.
No, of course, sir. And sir, from there, in order to win a Michelin star in 10 months of opening a restaurant, sir. So that is quite a journey. And sir, your restaurant is known for the menus that are there. Sir, do you have a process where you incorporate this feedback from your diners into your cooking and development?
See, actually, London, I mean, Europe and India has a lot of difference between the expectations and, of course, the cooking techniques. And when I came to London, so I was also a bit confused because the food scene is completely different. The process, the work culture is completely different than India. So I got confused, but I took a little time to understand the concept and the approach. So after that, I never look back. I just, keep working all the way. And so far, I think I've done 25, 27 openings in my career. So worldwide, actually. In London, I got the opportunities to always had Michelin Star kitchens, and I never thought, to be honest, when I came to London, even I don't know about Michelin Star. I was just putting my 100% focus on the work and just keep working every day, morning to midnight. So it was early days was really tough, and still being a restaurateur, it's become very hard because when you have your own setup, you have to be on your toes 24/7. At least when you are employee, you will have holidays, annual holidays, weekly offs. But now it's completely different world for me.
So what do you prefer? Is it just being a restaurateur? Is that I mean that experience is different from being just a chef. Which one do you enjoy more?
See, I'm enjoying all the way. Actually, when I was employee, I was employed that period too. But of course, when you step up, there's a learning always. So now it's a different, but still, rather than be on the TV all the time, I would like to be in my operations. So day to day, I go to my restaurants in London, wherever am I. So like I've got three more restaurants outside UK as well. So wherever I go, wherever I visit, I always be in the kitchen. I don't want to sit and see what's going on because I can't. I'm a very hands-on person, and that's why I decided to be in the kitchen rather than become a TV fame.
So now you're both.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Uh, so could you talk about the creative process of building a new recipe? How do you go about it?
See, London, as I said, Europe has a different food scene. So there's a lot of foodie people. They love enjoying your food. They really respect your effort. And most of the big restaurants in UK, people prefer seasonal stuff. So there's a cycle basically which I strongly follow. So every quarter when the season will change, I always put seasonal stuff. And I always try and use local produce as well. So I have to decide the ingredient first. Then I start thinking how do we make more interesting and more pre-plated. So, you know, so it will look nice when you present the dish in front of the guest. And obviously, Indian food is very straightforward. Only thing you have to be more organized. You have to come up with some sort of fresh ideas. So, for example, I can give you example. A few of my signature dishes are very popular uh, across my restaurants, and they especially loved it. So samosa is very popular. Everyone wants to have samosa. So rather than doing aloo or green peas, matar ka samosa, I always prefer to do something else, something new. So so I decided to do something with cauliflower, and people love cauliflower here, and it's more seasonal, available around the year. So I cook the cauliflower. First of all, marinate the cauliflower, cooked in the tandoor, then chop it up, make the mixture with that, and stuff inside the parcel rather than putting potatoes filling. I use that, and then I make the cauliflower chutney with that and cauliflower pickle. So I love working on different textures of ingredients. So on the same plate, you will have samosa with cauliflower, you will have cauliflower chutney, you will have cauliflower pickle, and on top of it, you will have dehydrated cauliflower too. So that sort of approach I always take.
And so now, because of social media, there is, even food is something which trends now. Like in pandemic, we saw the banana cake and the coffee and everything. So, do you also try to, pick from that when you're serving at the restaurants, or is there any way that
See,
Amazon and social media
I
impacts your?
I always take an inspiration from the Indian food, and of course I'm very happy and proud to present Indian food in UK and worldwide as well. Even a couple of years back, I came to India as well to attend one of the ministry event with Mr. Narendra Modi. So where I got the opportunity to cook and meet them as well.
Yeah.
So I always take, the small things. Like I always focus on the home style things. Pickle in London, it's a big market. You will have whatever you want, but I prefer my own pickle. Like we make in-house in the restaurant. So basic things like chutney, dips, pickles, breads, so makke ki roti, bajra, because we have a fine dining restaurants in London, and of course, when you have that sort of uh, you know the market identity, then obviously people's expectations will always go higher side. So they expect once you have done your R&D and experiments, then next time they will expect on the different level, next level. So you have to come up with something like that. So obviously, I can give you another example for my approach for dessert. You just mentioned about cakes and everything. We still do masala tea in the restaurant, but of course we have our own spice blend, which I do in the restaurant. And in India, there's the desserts are very rich, very sweet. And personally, I don't prefer too much sweet, but I converted Indians' classical three desserts into a cheesecake, basically. So besan laddu, small gulab jamuns, and shrikhand. You can see the image on my Instagram as well. So the base made with the besan laddu, we filled it up with the small tiny gulab jamuns. To hold that base and the gulab jamun, we pour the shrikhand on top of it. So it's become like a tart, and you cut it and you
Yeah.
present it nicely in front of the customers.
I can visualize it and also feel the saliva coming. Sounds so yummy, but so that's so interesting. And so, any particular dish or menu item that you're very particularly proud of?
See, as I said, because it's not like, there's a plenty of restaurant in UK. After opening so many successful restaurants,
Yeah.
I don't like using the same stuff. So I always try to bring something new.
Yeah.
So I still have a memory, like, in old days, I used to go to Delhi, old Delhi actually, where the small Muslim community, they still serve the food there. They used to make a ulte tawe ka paratha and shami kebab, and they used to serve sauce on the side as well. So something, I always try whatever I have done it. Even I serve kasata in my restaurants because that was one of my childhood memory as well. You won't get it in London, but obviously it will take a lot of efforts. And as answer to your question, because every dish take a lot of efforts. So in my opinion, wherever you put your blood and sweat, everything is important for you.
No, so that makes sense. Every dish that you must be putting for your diners must be having all of that sweat. So,
That's right.
uh, yes. And sir, recently you've also published a book which consists of recipes for vegetarians and people who are vegan. Uh,
Yeah, it actually happened during the COVID pandemic time because that
yes.
time my restaurant was shut for 14 months. And then I decided to do my book because it was my dream to do my book at least. And and it happened, to be honest, because of the pandemic. Otherwise, I hardly get enough time for my family as well. So that was the perfect timing for my book. And it took around to start to finish about 2 years. So entire the whole pandemic period, I was just busy with my book. So that is more focused because on that time people was stuck at their homes and there was nothing to do, and even the people they can't go, there was no access for the gyms or something. So there was a lot of health concern from the people side. That's why I decided, because I specialize, it's not like focused on vegetarian or vegan. But that time, people really want to avoid having meats, seafood, and all. So I decided I said let's do. And we had a brainstorming exercise over the phones, and we finalized the name over the phones with the publications. And it happened during. I would say it's all happened between the pandemic time, and the book has a lot of recipes, my signature, pickles, dips, and it is more focused on vegetarian, and a lot of vegan recipes are there because people, a lot of people after the pandemic, they turn into vegetarian, they prefer vegan. So there's a, food scene always get changed all the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that book is launched uh, 21, August 21, and it is available across the world, especially on the Amazon platform. So I've done the launch in US, in Asia market, in India itself, and Europe as well. So which is available almost everywhere.
So, do you think this vegan, the whole lifestyle of being a vegan is something which is catching on everywhere and it's there to stay?
I think, to be honest, there is a mixed demand. So a lot of people, especially the females who are on diet plans, they prefer vegans. You know, vegans, pescatarian. So there are a lot of people. They are just trying and avoid meat, especially because the red meat, especially it take a little bit longer to digest,
Yeah.
and especially and during the dinner time, people they won't eat. Of course, during the winter season, people love to have game meat. We specialize in game, so we do a special menu during the winter season time, and a lot of meat consumptions. But vegan, I tried vegan restaurants itself in Europe as well. So I personally believe vegan works really well with Indian food because at least we have so many spices, we have so many flavors,
Yeah.
and you can make it without dairy, anything.
Yeah.
Even nowadays, the substitutes are also available for the vegan, like paneer. You
Correct.
can get it substitute,
Yeah.
soya, protein based, plant based. A lot of things are available.
Absolutely. So I think in India it's caught on in India as well. Yeah.
It's a trend actually.
It's
Some
yeah,
people
it's a
they
trend.
avoid gluten. There's
Gluten.
nothing wrong with it, but most of the people, I think, who are who have a health concern and they really want to cut down extra calories and carbs, so they always prefer something to eat light.
Yes, sir. And so, in this series, we've spoken to several chefs, and one of the most controversial things that I think I've spoken to them is the authentic and the concept of authentic food.
Hmm.
When these are restaurants, Indian restaurants in a foreign land, they do modernize Indian food to some extent in order to suit the palate of the people there, and and then they're not called as authentic restaurants. So what do you understand by authentic
See,
Indian food? Do you agree that? Uh,
in my belief, if you are representing Indian food, you shouldn't compromise with the flavors. You shouldn't dilute
hmm,
the taste. Still, I'm keep doing it in my restaurants. I have a combo style, the flexibility offering of the menus, and a lot of people. There's nothing wrong to make it more presentable, but obviously you have to follow the authenticity of the Indian food, which is all about the flavors, the little hotness, the spice level has to be
Right.
balanced.
Yeah.
And my customers, they are very well, aware if they are heading to Rohit's place, they will be prepared with the spice level because I don't like doing, dilute the flavors because when you add extra cream, butter, and I don't like using a lot of cream and butter because it will, your food will become very rich, and at the end, you won't feel good after having your good meal. So
Correct.
I always prefer to use wherever is possible because in my belief, if you put extra butter and cream or something else, your food won't be like, super flavorful. It will make your food more rich and undigestible. So we always try and, prefer to put wherever is possible a very little amount. But the main agenda is we shouldn't lose the flavors because a lot of people, especially in Europe, a lot of people they come with their own requests. So we always make a special dish for them, less spicy and all, because I don't want to, you know, play around with the consistency of the food because the consistency is the backbone of the restaurant of the food.
Sir, have you noticed since the time you first went there and now difference in people's acceptance to Indian food? Has that changed? Has that evolved?
See, the Indian food is very well regarded worldwide, and but the only thing is you have to maintain the consistency. In London, at my places, I've got my more than 35% regulars, and sometimes they come twice in a week. So they believe because they have a right expectation, the right balance of the food, and they just keep coming back and they love Indian food everywhere, to be very honest with you. And it's highly well regarded because it's all about the flavors, as I said. The Indian food has most of the flavors and the spices. I've
Right.
got my in London, I've got more than 26 varieties of spices in my kitchen.
Wow.
So
Um, yeah, no, that makes sense, sir. And so, with everything that you've done now, what would your advice to aspiring chefs be? Like, if there's some advice you would like to give to aspiring chefs from India, worldwide, what would that be?
see, I never thought of this, but because to be honest, I left India nearly 15 years back, and there's so many things happening. New generations came, they took it over. But I think Sanjeev Kapoor and there's a very good friend of mine. She is doing very well in Mumbai too. Amrita Raichan,
Yeah.
Rakhi Vaswani. They are based in Mumbai, I believe. And
Yes, yes.
there's plenty of people actually. Uh, but, and of course, the trend had been changed since I moved to India, London, because when I was there, when we started our career in India, there was hardly any standalone restaurant. The food scene, obviously, the food scene has been changed. The expectations has been changed, and there's a lot of standalone celebrity chefs. They are doing
Yes.
really well. So few of them, we are in touch, so I know them well, and not much actually.
But sir, do you see any gap in the coming generation of chefs which you would like that shouldn't be there? Any such shortcoming?
Uh, in my belief, actually, there is a gap. Obviously, as I said previously, the food scene has been changed. The, even in India, if we talk about, you can see a lot of, a standalone restaurant. They are doing, fusion style of food. That is good for one time, but obviously, if you have a strong base, if you know your basics, then you can play around. So I think there's a gap between the basics and the fusion. Basically, now people once you pass out from the college, I don't know now, but previously, once you pass out from your college, you have to go for the training period. You have to learn your basics, make your base strong. But now there's a plenty of private institute as well in India itself. Previously, it was a central government colleges. There was a very very tough competition as well that time. So maybe the colleges make difference. Institutes, private institute, what sort of lecture they have, what sort of culinary plans they have. So a lot of things being changed actually in last over 10 years.
Yeah.